Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Advisors Want to Know podcast. I'm Catherine Tyndall, CPA here with Dominion. We're a firm specializing in tax work for financial advisor firms. Today, I have with me Lauren Hong. She started Out and About Communications back in 2013, and it's an agency dedicated to the financial services industry. Today, we're going to be talking about websites, and Lauren has some pretty good insights there. So welcome to the show, Lauren.
Yeah, Catherine, thank you for having me.
So this is actually a conversation I had with a client a week ago. He was talking about how annoyed he was with his website, and he was using kind of like a templated service for it. So I would love to hear your kind of general thoughts for people that are struggling with this and what they should be thinking about and paying attention to when it comes to their website.
Oh my goodness. So where to even start? Websites are like they're big kahuna projects. They're not, it's like not a short thing to be able to put together like a really thoughtful website. So I get why it's like, where do we even start or go with it? I kind of wanted to come in today with some pointers that I thought might be helpful for firms, just because we do see a lot of websites, we see a lot of data and kind of what works and what doesn't work. But maybe we just jump right into those. So it's kind of like high level because I get it. I think one of the things that firms see, that I see with firms, especially ones that are struggling and they feel like it's templated, is sometimes it just doesn't talk to their audience. It's not a reflection of who they are as a firm, visually, verbally, or frankly, it was just like, we got to stand this thing up really fast. And as a result, it's done really fast and it's not really it feels templated for kind of as you were saying earlier. So I think kind of a overarching message, if you're in the middle of a website redesign, if you're thinking about doing tweaks, if you're thinking to overhaul your website, is really, I think a takeaway is making sure that whatever you do, even with your sales efforts, because this is a sales tool too, is making sure that you're coming at your audience with a really informed point of view, because that is going to be what's going to help to really kind of stand out and make you different, so that when they go and they land on that site, your site, it's not sounding like everybody else's with the same old photos, older folks that are walking on the beach or a photo of a sailboat. Nothing against that. I get it. And it makes sense. But you go, how do I stand out? And what am I doing when someone lands on my site that they go, hey, I'm in the right spot, and they really get me. So yeah.
That's great. And I think because this is something that my company is currently going through, and it's been really, really interesting. Like an approach that I've taken when thinking about the copy work for it is I'm not talking about me. I'm talking to them. And having the copy not be like, we're a CPA firm. It's no, like, who are you? I'm talking to you. Like, you're a real person that's looking at this, that's reading this. What am I saying to you? So I think that's a great thing that you just emphasized with the, you really have to think through it like that. For, people that are considering changing their website, or it's not really an asset that's producing for them. Where do you think's the first place for them to start in crafting some of that messaging, or thinking about like how they're going to structure what's being said through there?
Yeah. So there's, we pulled our data from our clients across the board. We work with a number of RAs, and probably no surprise, but the top visited page is homepage, second following with the team page. So one of the places, if you're just like, okay, we just need to get some quick changes or updates, is to put energy and a lot of love into your hero, which is that it's right when you land on a website, it's the first thing that people see. It's kind of like your oceanfront property. Someone should be able to land on there, get a feel for who you work with, what you do in a snapshot, so that it kind of it captures your difference. So I think that's one place to be able to hone in and really spend some energy and help to differentiate yourself in the market. And of course, your website homepage is another, if you want to kind of refine that, because it's really kind of a gateway to push people into other places within the website. So that's kind of a first, like if you're going to spend time on something, is spend time on that hero, make sure that homepage is reflective of who you are and who your audience is. So if you're going to do your generalist thing, and we're an RAA, we're fee only, we're fiduciary, you can have those things on there, but you're going to want to go that step further. So they go, okay, they really know me as, let's say your target market is a business owner. Maybe you talk about, sort of an exit planning push of it, or how you're able to help, businesses at different stages of their growth, or buy and sell, or you can kind of get into these nuances of what it's like to work with an advisor that really knows business owners. So that's one place to start.
Yeah. And something we've been exploring, and I don't know if you have thoughts on this, but we've been exploring putting video on the homepage.
Oh yeah.
That really speaks to the client. Have you had anybody, approach doing video for their website? And have you seen any kind of benefit from that?
Video is a great way to, for folks just to kind of get a feel for who you are, your thinking, your approach. And it's a way to keep it simple too, because copy can get really long too. So yeah, video is something that we're definitely seeing as a big trend, and it's not always the like perfect polished video. sometimes there's a place for that, but there's also just a place for an authentic, like, jump behind the screen and start recording. So probably in your homepage, you're going to want something a little bit more polished, but there's still a place for that more kind of raw video as well.
Nice. That's great. And for people that maybe they started somewhere else and then they come and find you because things aren't going well. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making these days when it comes to how they're approaching their website or
Yeah, it's a great question.
places for improvement? Yeah.
That kind of brings me to another point of like a takeaway for this idea of like really knowing your audience and coming out with a unique point of view. One of the mistakes that we often see is folks sometimes will come to us and they'll say, well, we want to be number one in Google when someone searches wealth management firm San Diego, for example. There's a lot of people that want to be in that spot. And there are a lot of firms that are paying a lot of dollars to be able to keep in that, to keep that with that ranking. So part of it is to make sure that your content, what you're putting out there, both on your web pages, on your blog, is really aligned with the nuances of your specific audience and the problems that you're trying to solve. And that's going to help to tighten in that search with the keywords. It's going to be able to help you stand out, and it's going to be able to not make you kind of sound like the firm down the block. So that's a challenge that I see is it's a templated website. It's been redone. Maybe it's a website from kind of like way back when, and we've just kind of never like thought about who we really want to, focus on working with and how we want to differentiate ourselves in the market. Or it's just sort of like naivety, of kind of not knowing and what have you. So that's kind of a general common challenge that I see for firms of all different sizes and all different stages of their own business growth.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And something else that I don't know if you have insight onto this, of something that I always think about with marketing is, what is the journey that this prospective client is going through to find me? And that because the website usually isn't something that's going to be driving a ton of traffic on its own, right? Like there's going to be other things of reasons why people have come to it or how they're getting to it. And how do you think people should be thinking about that in terms of what you put on your website with what your overall strategy of like a client prospect journey is, and how you might change positioning depending on like what your strategy is, overall for like your marketing funnel, so to speak?
Yeah. So if it's a referral, like a referral is going to say, go check out firm ABC, and they land on your website, firm ABC, that potential client is probably going to want to just validate that you're the real deal. Like you've got your shop open and that you feel legitimized. And so that feeling legitimized is that the copy, the hero, additional validations, like maybe pushing awards or in the news, or even if they pop over to you, if you've got a blog, that it's speaking to the things that resonate with you and maybe why someone referred you to that spot. If it's a cold prospect though, it's going to take a while to warm up. So that's where you want to be kind of that, like you're just kind of beating on the same message, right? If you work going back to that business owner's example, like you want to be able to just consistently put out the same sort of messaging, similar, voice and tone, adding value, adding education, and helping those prospects find you. And that's where you're going to be able to actually help to start driving traffic to your site versus them, directly searching and going to your site, typing in the URL. So that's where you start to tell Google, hey, I'm an authority. I have something to say in this space and it's of value, and Google's got a whole algorithm for how they're defining all of that. And it's those breadcrumbs that you're putting out there that are circling you back to be able to say, I have something of value to add. So it's sort of like the prerequisite to the meeting you as a team.
Yeah, that's great. And I think for something that I'm always interested in is, okay, if you're going to make a commitment to make all these changes, what do you typically see for results for people who really commit to the process? Like what's a reasonable expectation of change? Just because,
Yes.
I'm going to put all this effort into my website, and is it reasonable that I'm only getting 10 leads a month? Or is it more reasonable that I should be getting 100 leads a month? Like, what do you think people should keep in mind with, what are actual outcomes that you've been seeing for people who put in this effort, and maybe at the different stages of effort that people have? Like if they're doing blog posts for SEO or things like that, what's a reasonable expectation?
So to not put the cart before the horse, if you're going to do a website redesign and get it all scrubbed down and looking good, that's going to take about a minimum of 6 months, on average 8 months, as long as a year potentially. Sometimes I see it a little bit longer, but usually a year is a cap in length for that. That's going to allow you to say, I'm showing up in the market how I want to be able to show up. It's not going to be we go live and you're going to be flooded with contacts, but it's going to be a reflection of how you want to show up in the market. When you start to do content marketing activity that is related to SEO, you have to really commit to it, and you've got to be able to do it at a high enough volume where you're not like shiny object of like, I'm dabbling in this and then I'm dabbling in that, and then we're going to push out this. You've got to really commit and have that regular drumbeat. And I'd say you're looking at it like a pretty steady 6 months of really like keeping that all running before you actually start to see things trickle in. And I'll say that those timelines speed up when you start to be known in your market. when you start to get really strategic about understanding how what keywords you want to focus on from just an SEO perspective. So then you can really like further tailor your efforts, and they kind of build, like your efforts start to stack, so that you can speed up timelines. But that's kind of after you've done the legwork to be able to get there.
All right, that's good to know, because I think for a lot of people, they're like, especially if if you need to really rehaul, or say you're early on and you're just kind of starting out with different online prospecting methods. If you think, oh, if I redesign the website, I'm going to start seeing some stuff, next month or the month after that. It's really more of a long-term commitment of, I'm planting seeds. This is going to take 6 months for the SEO. I have to make a commitment here. And that maybe I need to feed my funnel with other methods that are faster, like direct outreach, or just other things that you can do. But knowing that the website's going to be a core part of that, but it's just going to be a much longer time horizon. I think that's a good expectation.
And honestly, for advisors, like this is a trust-based business, which is why referrals have historically, and I think a lot of businesses are really key for growth. But, when you look at how many marketing qualified leads are coming in through digital, it's not always an A, B, C process or an A to Z. It can be all over the place. And the volume of marketing qualified leads is defined as good for all different, like some firms may say, we just want one marketing qualified lead a quarter. And, that's what we need right now. Others want a much higher volume. It just depends on kind of where they're at or what have you. But I've seen a range of leads come in from marketing qualified leads for one a week to they just sort of also drip in other ways where it's coming in through referrals or through other activities that we're doing on the side, events or what have you. So it really varies.
Nice. And it seems like it's the more effort you put in, targeted,
Just
the more you're
making
going to
it
get out. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a volume game. Well, this was great. So for people that are looking to get more information or connect with you, Lauren, where would you like people to get connected with you?
Yeah, so I'd actually check out our website. It's outandaboutcommunications.com. We have an insights page that's got just like tons of resources, a lot of interviews with other firms, folks in the financial services space, best practices. So that's also a good spot if you're looking to do a little bit of a deeper dive and what have you. So
Nice. That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show. And for people listening, those links will be all posted around however you interacted with this to get in touch. And thank you again for joining me. This was a really interesting conversation around, websites. And I think something that a lot of people it's a nagging thing that they want to deal with, but maybe don't know, the next steps of what they really need to do in order to move that forward in their business. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for your time.